I got to do our favorite news segment that we've got rolling out here, you guys. It's called This Week in Freight, powered by DAT. And again, this is all 100% viewer submitted lanes. I'm not going to tell you guys what to quote, but I'm going to show you how I personally assess a lot of these lanes that we move every single day to look for the stability markers. All right. Like there's a lot of talk about the fringes, the rapid rises and declines, but I can't go to a customer every single time there's a market shift and be like, hey, I got to go do this. I got to do that. I have to find the stability point of it and try and keep it there for as long as possible. So today's lane that we're going to be breaking down is Plant City, Florida to Des Moines, Iowa. And normally, if you've moved freight at all, you know outbound Florida is historically loose capacity and not that great of paying loads out there unless it's produce season. And this one kind of, when it came in, I kind of thought I had it all in my head on what we were going to be talking about. But this lane is like, I would say it's on a very upward trend right now, specifically for dry vans, because if you go back and look at the March of 25 mark, it's at 1521 is what it was paying. And now, right now, within the last 7 days, we're almost pushing $2,100. So it's like, you got to look at it from this perspective. If you've paid attention, and we're going to kind of talk about this a little bit on the show about, late produce season out of Florida because they've had some crop issues due to some freezes and everything. Is this direct correlation tied into Florida in regards to ELP? Because they have been very well publicized on really, really hammering that. And then diesel prices over the last couple of days have shot up some 80, 90 cents a gallon here since the what's been going on in Iran. So it's like I look at a lot of this stuff, and this is the information I would be going to my customer with if I was moving this specifically for a dry van. I would be talking, everybody knows what's going on from a current events perspective, right? I don't think it's like, obviously, if you're in a spot market, you're very good because you're doing truck in hand. You might be doing it like that. But if you're going out there and trying to contract these rates, and I'm going to use air quotes on the contracts because not everybody operates off of an RFP, but it's very wise of you to go in and, again, find that mark where you can give them the exact same rate for as long as possible on these lanes. And this is something that we personally do, albeit flatbed. We do this because it's a lot easier for their executive team to plan this stuff out if we can hit them at the same rate. But I would say this lane in particular, again, I want to see how the entire month of March performs, but I would say this lane is jumping a little bit earlier than it normally does. As you can see on this graph here, you guys, May is like peak time. So this lane might be going for over $3,000+ in peak produce season here, because it's not moving on a reefer, the dry van market is definitely affected by this. And then if you follow the produce curve that comes along with it, it's going to eventually bleed into Georgia and the Carolinas as well. So it's like, if you're moving any freight inside of that specific region, you guys, I would definitely start paying attention to this a little bit more closely than in the past. Watch your capacity, watch fuel prices, because that is inevitably going to have an effect on the overall freight market when it comes to rates. And if you're going out there and explaining any of this to your customers, that's how I would take it. Here is how my business is personally approaching this over the next couple of weeks. I still think it's too early to tell on a rapid rise in fuel prices sustaining at that level. I think with how things go, it could be over in a couple of days. But by the end of this month, if nothing's changed, I will be having that conversation with my customers, specifically if there's no fuel surcharge added into any of these prices. So if you're running this lane, I would start thinking about how you're going to approach your customer, because it looks like this market has shifted earlier than it normally does, as you can see on the trend line here. And this is where I would want to come in and talk to my customer about it. But again, I would want to wait a couple more weeks just to see if anything changes, because I hate to rush to stuff and then it end up costing you, because just the way things are right now, everything changes at the drop of a dime. So Plant City, Florida to Des Moines, Iowa, I would argue this is the beginning signs of a market shift. But again, I don't want to go to my customer just yet. I want to wait a couple more weeks, but I would definitely start paying attention to this. But then the broader produce push, if you're moving produce freight out of Florida, Georgia, the Carolinas, as it goes up that beltway, I would expect to see some higher prices. But as always, you guys, that's This Week in Freight, powered by my friends over at DAT. If you want your lane broke down on the show, email my team, podcast@thefreightcoach.com. I don't need anything other than the shipping city, delivery city, and the trailer type, and we can go from there.